Billion-dollar companies are at odds, and a 20-year-old Filipino recently lighted the fuse. Indian Wells tonight. In the tennis garden, Eala destroyed the world number 4 Coco Gauff 6-2, 2-0 in 54 burning minutes. Moving on to the BNP Paribas Open round of 16 for the first time in her professional life. However, this is what no one is saying aloud. Not yet. As soon as that last point touched down, Gauff approached the net. "I'm sorry, I hate to do this," she said. A completely different competition erupted, not on the court, but in the boardrooms of multinational companies due to Alex's business war. Eala's name, her identity, and her quiet cultural value has been speeding up for several months. And what just occurred at Indian Wells, it wasn't just that the outcome of the tennis match was explosive. Fasten your seat belts because we're going to reveal what extends well beyond rackets and ranks. This is the tale of how one young lady turned into the most fierce sought-after business asset in all of women's tennis, and the billion-dollar conflict nobody foresaw. Every business empire starts somewhere peaceful, little, and uninhabited. For Alex, it started at a Milo sports clinic located in the Philippines. A small youngster swinging a racket while the entire world paid zero attention. Her adventure began at the very grassroots Milo initiatives, clinics intended to stimulate athletic long-held aspirations among Filipino communities before worldwide fame was even close to a practical discussion. She wasn't just a child being sold as a prodigy. She had a passion for sports. Nevertheless, the businesses were observing sooner than everyone agrees. Eala signed her initial endorsement agreement with Globe Telecom at the age of 8. That number once more, 8. Most kids that age are still figuring out tables for multiplication. Eala was already in a business contract with one of the largest telecom behemoths in the Philippines. It wasn't a transactional connection. It was fundamental. Globe did not sign a tennis player. Globe signed a belief system, a belief that this certain child was carrying something remarkable within her. In 2019, Nike was added to her repertoire. Following that, in 2022, she became a supporter of BPI, the Bank of the Philippine Islands. Layer by layer, silently and deliberately, a commercial infrastructure was being built surrounding a teenager who was concurrently moving up through each junior ranking worldwide. Babolat, the esteemed French racket manufacturer with a long history based in part on Rafael Nadal's dominance, provided her with tools, particularly the model of Pure Aero. The Philippines has had difficulties in the past to offer financial support at the government level for top athletes. The Philippine Sports Commission was based on a budget of about $23 million, hardly surpassing what one American college football team might allot a player recompense. In light of this, the business support for Eala wasn't only practical. It was a lifesaver. Without Babolat, Globe, and Nike, there might not have been a route to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. There is no route to professional tennis. None of this. What's amazing isn't just that she was able to secure sponsors young. What's amazing is that each company that pledged to her did so depending on character, trajectory, and long-term intangible magnetic potential prior to the existence of a single WTA title. They weren't making a champion investment. They were creating the circumstances for one. And this is the query that ought to be keeping all rival brands alert. How much is loyalty worth right now when the whole world abruptly wants to be with you first? Sometimes careers don't simply switch. Sometimes complete commercial timelines should be rewritten. At Eala's arrival to the 2025 Miami, she was placed 140th in the world, being granted a wild-card admission to a Grand Slam-filled WTA 1000 tournament, royalty. She wasn't expected to progress beyond the initial round. The analysts and the TV hadn't circled her name. There were no cameras searching for her face in the hallways of the locker room. And then she began to prevail, defeating Galina Voskobeva. Madison Keys was vanquished, then Yastremska, the former semi-finalist of the Australian Open. Afterwards, in a performance that immobilized the tennis establishment, she strolled onto the court against the second-ranked world Iga Swiatek and emerged triumphant. 3 Grand Slam winners were eliminated by a 20-year-old who wasn't even meant to be competing at that level. A year before, Eala had been ranked 140. That one Miami run propelled her to the WTA Top 100, reaching a goal as the first Filipino athlete in history. To accomplish that goal, her social media coverage skyrocketed. Sponsors who had been watching in silence all of a sudden started having combative internal discussions. Nike and Babolat grew closer. Significance to her narrative increased significantly. Moreover, Globe Telecom's 10-year investments started to produce cultural dividends that no marketing division could have predicted. Industry experts started making striking analogies between Emma Raducanu and Eala, the British-Chinese celebrity who won the 2021 US Open and caused an instant commercial avalanche. The two athletes maintain crossover appeal in a variety of profitable markets. China, Japan, and the Philippines, and more the larger worldwide audience that tennis fervently longs for. The Sky Sports host Gigi Salmon may have given the greatest controversial business ruling of the whole season. She evaluated that in terms of the appeal of a pure crowd and spectator appeal, Eala may already be the most prominent figure in women's tennis, regardless of her ranking. Read that decision cautiously. Regardless of rating, that single evaluation constitutes a seismic change in the way sports marketing functions. Commercial value was tracked for decades by ranking. The top spot received the largest deal. The following deal went to number 2. The hierarchy was strict and numerical. Alex Eala is unpredictable. That model completely changed due to the masses during her practice sessions, the millions of people watching her content, and her fans traveling abroad only to see her compete. That devotion surpasses a WTA ranking, and every brand executive listening recognizes the implications of that for their bottom line. In September 2025, a Facebook post went viral in the Philippines, asserting that Wilson, a maker of sporting goods, had offered a $45 million endorsement agreement to Alex Eala and that she had acknowledged it. The fake post accumulated more than 103,000 emotional responses, thousands of likes, and shares prior to fact-checkers being able to contain the wildfire. Verifiles and Rappler both released official refutes. Wilson had not made any such announcement. No formal declaration existed on both sides. But pause for a moment and take in what truly happened. An entirely made-up agreement produced 103,000 emotional responses on a single platform. Individuals shared it without confirmation. People rejoiced over it without verification. People discussed it without proof since the narrative felt emotionally accurate. The audience desired for it to be authentic. Alex's commercial appeal had grown to such an extent that a fake could create engagement tidal waves. In the meantime, Eala's Real sponsor portfolio, Babolat, Nike, Globe Telecom, the Philippine Islands Bank, and in July 2025, locally Juice, was producing genuine commercial momentum that the false narrative unintentionally exaggerated. Consider that Wilson's name trended, revealing their brand to millions of Filipinos without spending just $1. The rumor provided brand visibility that no traditional advertising budget could buy. When a false narrative regarding an athlete produces more natural engagement compared to the majority of verified campaigns, the business sector sits up and makes thorough notes. The falsehood stated the truth about a much larger issue. Eala has become a cultural icon, and cultural phenomena have limitless value. More than any contract amount, something important occurred at Manila's SM Mega Mall on February 22, 2026. Milo Philippines publicly introduced Alex as the newest representative for its historic My Milo Story campaign, a broad national program honoring the profound personal relationships Filipinos have with the brand. The vice president of marketing at Milo, Lawrence Larico, described the alignment with accuracy. Eala's shift from being a grassroots participant to an elite professional embodied the brand's 60-year history of constructing champions. It wasn't a transactional announcement of endorsement. Milo wasn't just acquiring Eala's audience access. Milo was recovering its history. Since Eala really started her sporting career in a Milo sports clinic, the circle of life was finishing itself in public on a national platform. Then just 2 weeks later at the Indian Wells launch, the competition started even before Eala played one game. Her rehearsals, her Instagram hovering at 960,000. More than twice the numbers of similar WTA-ranked athletes. A day in the life video on the BNP Paribas official YouTube account became the most viewed content of 2026 by a significant amount. Even Coco Gauff admitted the phenomenon following their meeting in Dubai, expressing gratitude to Eala's supporters for flooding the center court and drawing in a completely new demographic to tennis. Then arrived Stadium 1 on Sunday night. Eala dictated each conversation from the baseline, outplaying Gauff in the first set, generating unforced mistakes and breaking the world number 4's beats so thoroughly that Goff eventually retired with an injury. Goff went on to explain her arm felt similar to that of a firecracker exploding inside. It was just the second professional retirement of Goff's career. Eala was standing on Stadium 1 and declared, "I truly didn't wish to prevail in this manner, but this is still a significant occasion for me." Grace under worldwide scrutiny. Calmness while the commercial machines all around her name accelerated faster than a 20-year-old's ought to be anticipated. Milo just asserted her tale. Her clothing is already owned by Nike. Babolat has her weapon already. Globe already owns her place of origin. And each other company observing that Stadium 1 performance is still figuring out the exact price of missing their opportunity completely. This is where the numbers start to truly astound. Eala's recorded career award money attained over $1.36 million as of late 2025. A number that, although significant for her age, signifies only the base layer of the construction of commercial architecture. Prize money in isolation has very little bearing on this dialogue. It is the tiniest component of an elite athlete's commercial appraisal. The real wealth, the category that defines wealth transfers between generations, comes from licensing agreements, endorsements, and the type of ambassadorship of culture that goes beyond sport in its entirety. According to industry sources, A-list companies are actively seeking significant collaborations with Eala, particularly captivated by her ability to connect many high-value markets concurrently. The Philippines, China, Japan, Southeast Asia, and the worldwide tennis audience. Her WTA ranking hit a career high of 31 on February 23, 2026. In light of this Indian Wells breakthrough, more progress seems unavoidable. Think on what is already included in her portfolio without one more contract. Nike, the most influential sportswear brand in history. Babolat, the manufacturer whose history comprises 3 decades with the best clay court rival ever. Globe Telecom, a cultural resonance of the country. BPI, financial credibility. Milo's emotional genuineness at the grassroots level. Every sponsor has a separate area. None of them clash with her identity. They are all amplified. This portfolio architecture was meticulously constructed over 12 years of intentional partnership. It was built by being genuine and patient. Companies trying to get in now confront a terrain where the majority of significant areas are already occupied. Her use of social media dwarfs players ranked significantly above her. This disparity between her commercial appeal and her present position generates an exceptional prospect for arbitrage for any brand with sufficient sophistication to act before the rating reaches the cultural reality. When Eala unavoidably makes it into the WTA Top 20, each endorsement negotiation will encounter significantly higher expectations for prices. The brands already inside her habitat locked their rates years ago. Each person who arrives late will pay a quality that feels more punishing with every tournament that goes by. Therefore, the question is not whether Alex Eala is wanted by billion-dollar corporations. Is it possible for any of them to still be able to pay her? And will she even require them? From a Milo sports clinic in the Philippines to Indian Wells Stadium 1, Alex Eala's ascent is the most captivating athletic and commercial narrative in modern women's tennis. Nike, Babolat, Milo, BPI, Globe, and an increasing number of global firms aren't only racing after a tennis player, they are racing to be a part of a cultural movement. The performance against Coco Gauff tonight verified that the window of inexpensive access is rapidly narrowing. Early thinking brands created empires. Currently, late brands are hesitating, observing those empires emerge from the outside. If this tale had an impact, if you sense something truly momentous taking place right now, hit the subscribe button. Each time Alex Eala enters a court, this channel will be available analyzing every perspective, every advertisement change, every conflict, and every rivalry that the media leaves behind. Press the bell. Tell others about this. Someone who must be aware of her name. The next chapter will be released soon.